paper, magazine, newspaper. But it has to be with certain guidelines. You cannot just write anything to everything on a research paper or an article or a book chapter. So now why writing is important? Because being a law student during 5 years of law, law course, we need to write a lot of projects. We have to submit a lot of assignments, our thesis. We need to present our paper. So unless and until we do not know how to write an article or a paper, how would we go ahead in life? Sometimes it happens that suppose if I am not a good orator, or if XYZ is not a good orator, what they will prefer? They will prefer that they should communicate what they are feeling by the way of writing. Writing is a mode of expression, right? Now I'll give you a very simple example. Suppose आप कहीं बाहर गए, right? You are very shy. You went on a conference with your colleagues, but you're not able to speak on the mic. You are very hesitant, but you have a lot of knowledge. You know how to write. So now people are saying that okay, fine, he or she cannot speak. So now let us test our writing skills. So आप वही अपनी बात जो आपका presentation है, you can give it in the form of PPT, or you can just write a note to the conference member. So now you are explaining your own thoughts, opinions by way of writing. If you're not a good orator, so writing is equally important for everybody. So now we know that good writing is also an important skill that translates into any career field. Nearly all professionals require some form of writing, that is emails, letters, reports. Email is very common day to day. We try to reply to those emails, reports. But how it happens? It happens because it is in the form of written communication, right? Email cannot be oral, right? When you reply to certain email, आपको लिखना पड़ता है. Writing has to come into picture. Nothing can be without writing, right? Now, writing is then an important skill to acquire. So one should know how to write. Also, now when we're talking about academic writing, there has to be certain importance reports. That why we should give email is very common day to day. We try to reply to those emails. Of course, speaking is equally important, but why writing? Because see, when you're a good writer, you have strong communication skills. You can think widely. You have a lot of opinions. You apply your logical mind and answering a question or solving a query. Your language skill is enhanced. Your way of talking is enhanced, and also your research skill is improved. Of course, see, because when you have to write a book chapter or a research paper, you tend to, have some prior research skills. You try to figure out, okay, fine, if I'm writing on, topic of gender bias, so now I have to find out relevant articles. I have to read relevant articles or blogs before coming to the picture of my own topic. And you try to jot down certain key points for your, topic, and you try to make a rough draft. So, of course, this is why, academic writing plays a very crucial life in everybody's role, whether you are you are studying as a student institute, or a law student, or a law school, or anybody. So that's why academic writing is a very, very plus point. You have to have a good writing skills. You need to practice that. Nothing is done in one day. Writing cannot be mastered in one day. That you cannot just sit and say that okay, fine, I will write one article and I am like, okay, I'm a king of writing. No, you cannot be. So you need to practice each day for coming into developing your own research skills and ability. Also, now, types of academic writing. So now, I got a lot of questions from the students. Ma'am, we have to write book chapters. So actually, how to write a book chapter? What is the actually types of writing that I can indulge in my own topic? There are people, sometimes they write on, they have food blogs. They have food blogs. Sometimes people, they're very creative. They write on, story. They write on, you can say, I'll give you an example of Bollywood, like the scripts, the horror movie scripts, or the romantic scripts, or the action scripts. So now this also falls into the category of types of academic writing. Writing is one, but also it has the genres. So now we need to understand the first portfolio ki types of writing hoti kya hai, before writing an article, research paper, or a book chapter. So now the first one is descriptive. So descriptive ka matlab kya hota hai? It tells us how something looks, feels, smell, taste, or sound. A good description is a word picture that the reader can imagine the object, which means that, see, of course, you're describing. Suppose I went out when I went out for a trip with my friends. So now I'm explaining a situation to my fellow colleagues that okay, fine, I went to this restaurant, I had this food. It sounds, it tastes really good. It is so spicy. It is so it is so sweet. So I'm actually describing the food that I had and how something is looking. Like I went to this place, I met this person. He or she looks very smart. So now I am describing the personality. So now this is a form of descriptive writing. So now when I come to the point of narration, so what does the narration means? So narration means to give or account or tell a story of something or someone or an event Use time order to organize sentences, which means that see, narration is very common. We often do in our daily lives. We try to narrate a story. Suppose you're very angry. Suppose you're very agitated. आपकी लड़ाई हो गई आपके फ्रेंड से, आपके कलीग से, आपके फैमिली में. So now somebody asked you, क्या हुआ? Please tell me why are you so sad? So you started narrating the entire story जो आपके साथ पूरे दिन में हुआ on the phone call, right? So you're narrating that story, what has happened with you in the past, in the form of story writing, right? So ये आपका हो गया narration. So now this is also a form of writing when you write a story, when you write an essay. So it has to be formed in the narration, right? So now we have third category, that is argumentative or persuasive. So now what does this persuasive means? See, now in a very lame language, persuasive means to convince your own readers. Like whatever you are writing, whatever is your belief, whatever you are thinking of, your opinion, it should actually convince the people who are reading your article or a book chapter or that opinion of a newspaper. So your writing has to be that up to the mark, so that suppose if I am I'm not a law student, right? I'm a journal person. I'm not doing law. I'm an engineering grad. So now if you're writing even on a legal topic, you are writing about a hijab controversy that happened recently, right? Or a bully by app controversy that took a heartthrob in Kolkata. So now if I am a non-law grad, so still when I read your article or a piece of paper or a book chapter, I could have a basic understanding. Okay, fine, what the person is trying to convey. I should not be like, okay, I'm not a law student, मुझे समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा. तो आपकी writing इतनी अच्छी होनी चाहिए, इतनी basic, so that कि whatever you're trying to put your own points, it should convince, it should touch my heart. I should be agreeing to it while reading the article or piece of paper or a book chapter. So now these are the types of academic writing that you need to keep in mind while writing a book chapter, research paper, or an article, right? Descriptive, narrative, or argumentative. So now when you write a book chapter, how will you go about? You have to plan, you have to have an outline of your book chapter, research paper. You need to focus on the language that you're going to use, characteristics, point of view and approach. So these are the basic fundamental whenever you're writing for a research paper or you're sitting down to write an article or a book chapter. इसके बिना आप start नहीं कर सकते. You need to have a topic. You need to plan that, okay, fine, you have to go how. You have to have a rough draft, an outline that what you will cover in your research paper on a book chapter, right? Now also, process of research paper writing. What is the process? So now this is very common for the book chapter as well. You need to have time management. That is very important. And topic selection. Sometimes it happens that when you write for a call for chapters, you have already, plenty of topics to choose and write on them. But if you do not have a topic in mind and you are writing, you're thinking to write a book chapter, right, on journal, contemporary issues, legal issues. So you need to have a broader category of mind. You need to think your topic wisely. You need to keep the time frame in mind. That, okay, fine, you have to complete this particular chapter, book chapter in how many days? In a month. Or I have to, complete my first draft of research in 10 days. Then you have to just brainstorm your mind. You need to figure out relevant topics that is in trend or that can be highlighted these days. What your topic will focus on. You have to read plenty of articles before writing a book chapter, because you need to have a prior idea. Right? Suppose if you have to go on a trip to Himachal or somewhere else, so what you guys do? You plan, right? You are going to Himachal, so now, okay, where you'll be staying, what are the things that you're going to visit with your family or friends? So you plan your trip in advance. Similarly, for writing a book chapter also, you need to plan your writing prior hand, that what the topic will focus on. You have to read, articles relevant to your topic, outline a book chapter, draft a paper, revise a paper. So now revise a paper means that it's a last stage. Suppose you have submitted a book chapter or a research paper on an article and you get a reply from the journal that, okay, fine, we can accept your paper, but your paper lacks these modalities. So now after reviewing your paper, you will have some comments from the journal itself. So you need to follow that comments and you have to revise your paper accordingly and resubmit it again. Now we have sources of help. So now these sources mean that from where you are taking help to write a book chapter or a paper. That can be a website, that can be, articles from JSTOR, case laws from Manu Patra. So these are the basic funda that you need to keep in mind while writing a research paper or a book chapter. Also, the process is pre-writing. I discussed writing and post-writing. So now pre-writing is like the fundamental basic research before writing onto a particular topic. And post is after writing, you revise it. You have a checklist in mind that, okay, fine, let me just have a cross-check whether I've included the, introduction or not, whether my content is valid or not, it is matching my theme or not, do I have potential, references or not. So now these are the basic key points that you have to keep in mind. Also, you can see my, this screen, I have two articles. That is, one is a paper article, that is newspaper article, dimension on a business ethics and corporate social responsibility, and the other one is magazine article. So now this is a basic difference. So when you write for a newspaper article or a magazine or a book chapter, you have certain, limits. You have word limit also, right? That you have to, a standard article is like 7,000 words. A book chapter can be lesser, like 2,500, 3,000 words. So these are the basic difference. This is a book, this is a newspaper article where you can just classify the topic into various categories, right? But in the book chapter also you have limited words, so you cannot just classify into every small topics, right? Now, benefits of publishing a research paper, right? So now, what is the benefits of publishing a research paper? So when you will publish a research paper, of course, it will tend to develop your own skills. Your research skills will improve. You have basic learning strategies, right? After that, encouragement of research, a chance of getting admission into top law colleges, which means that it is very obvious nowadays, whenever after your law graduation you apply for a job or you want to come into academia. So now people see that how many book chapters you have written, how many articles you have published, how many research papers do you have. So when you have good number of research papers or book chapters or written books, your CV will automatically have a standard, right? And also follow on the quality of journal, right? And quality of your writing, it doesn't mean that you have to write a book chapter or a article writing or a research paper. You are writing anything to everything. You need to be very selective with your work also. Never compromise with the quality of work, right? Helps in building professional career, we all know that. So now what does a research paper should have? It should have introduction, importance, literature review, inference, research result. So whenever you're writing a paper or a book chapter, you should have in the mind that, okay, fine, literature review means that you are referring to what sources. If you're reading a book, if you have a topic on contract law and you're reading Avatar Singh, so now you have to mention that. Inference, discussion. So now discussion cannot be a heading in book chapter, but it has to be in a paragraph format, right? What are you gonna be discussing, right? Citations. I will be discussing citation also because that is very important part of research. Abstract is very important. When you are submitting a book chapter, I always came across the people who submit the book chapter, they forgot to write in abstract or keywords. So keywords is a basic funda that you have to add below the abstract, right? Chapter outlines. Now I would come to this part later on. I would just discuss about research paper and book chapter. 1 second, I'll just come to this back. Just a moment, guys. Just a moment. Yes. So now, of course, when you write a book chapter, there are a lot of questions that arises during a mind writing a book chapter. Even when I started writing a book chapter, I also felt very nervous. Where do I start from? How do even I do this? How should I link one chapter to another chapter? Or what should be the length of the book chapter? So now let me clarify. First of all, book chapter is not the same as research paper. Research paper can be as lengthy as you want, depending on the word limit, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, right? But the book chapter has to be standardized in limited format. Might be 3,000 words, 3,500 or 2,000, not more than that. A book chapter cannot be like 10,000 words or 12,000 words. You cannot do that. So book chapter is a shorter version of a research paper. Though you have similarities between a research paper also, when you write a research paper, you have to write an abstract, introduction. Similarly, you have to write in the book chapter as well. So now these are the basic, fundamental questions that, came across my mind when we all write a book chapter. Now, how to write a book chapter? So now, of course, create an outline for the chapter. Suppose, take any topic, XYZ, LGBT rights, or, any like hijab controversy, or, COVID-19 and legal education. Suppose if you're writing on COVID-19 and legal education, so you need to frame an outline of the chapter that, okay, fine, this is my book chapter. I have 3,500 word limit. So now, within this limit, what will I include? Right? You cannot go beyond that limit also, but you have to be frigid. You have to be, to the point. Okay, so that your chapter looks up to the mark. Build the chapter structure. Write an eye-catching chapter title. So of course, eye-catching. When I say eye-catching chapter, which means that your title and headline should be very, attractive. It should not be simple. Like suppose COVID-19 and legal education. You can modify that. Effect of COVID-19. Or parameters of COVID-19, affecting on legal education. So you always need to have a title that is really attractive and actually it, catches the eye frame of the audiences also. So you need to keep the title, keeping in mind your set targeted audiences, right? Hook readers with your chapter intro. Of course, intro is like, any movie, the starting point of any movie. When you watch the trailer, you can just compare the, introduction of a book chapter with the trailer of a movie. So, a lot of people have been watching these days, a lot of web series that, came across in Netflix, like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hotstar. So, what actually keeps our mind droning is that when you see the trailer, you feel, oh, that's really exciting. It is really nice. I mean, it's really interesting. So, of course, in the similar way, when you write a book chapter, it should actually, grab the attention of the people who are reading your chapter. Right. Expand the story with the main points. So, of course, you have to highlight your main point in a very limited aspect of the word limit. What are you trying to convey? If a chapter revolves around the legal education in pandemic, so you cannot just go beyond the limited word like 12,000 words, but you have to pen down your own thoughts, what the chapter will conclude in that limited zone also. By, do not cut on the, important major points, but you have to explain it, expand it in a better way. Write a summary of the book chapter, of course. So whenever writing, whenever deciding on the topic, you have to actually have a summary of the topic in your mind. That, okay, fine, this is my topic. I'm going to write on this topic and I will include these many points. Right. So you should have this structured prior hand writing a chapter. अगर आपने अपने टॉपिक पे रिसर्च ही नहीं की है, आपको पता है आपको इस चैप्टर पे लिखना है, बट आपको सिर्फ टाइटल पता है, बट आपको ये नहीं पता कि ओके फाइन, ये टाइटल तो मेरे पास है, बट मैं इसमें लिखूं क्या? Often it happens. People know, the topic to write on, but they are really confused. Okay, how to go about it? मैं लिखूं क्या इसमें? इसमें आएगा क्या? इसमें इंट्रोडक्शन आएगा, इसमें एब्स्ट्रैक्ट आएगा, इसमें बॉडी आएगा, इसमें डिस्कशन आएगा, इसमें क्या आएगा? So इससे पहले जो भी आपका रिलेवेंट टॉपिक, आई वुड ऑलवेज सजेस्ट स्टूडेंट्स टू गो अबाउट इट प्रायर हैंड. आप अपने टॉपिक से रिलेटेड आप अपना आर्टिकल्स पहले पढ़ लिए, पहले ब्लॉग्स पढ़िए, पहले रिसर्च पेपर्स पढ़िए कि आपको जिस पे लिखना है, उसके बाद आप जंप करिए अपने समरी पे, अपने स्ट्रक्चर पे, बुक चैप्टर के, राइट? So this is how you have to write a book chapter. Also, the pointers you have to keep in mind is that you have to develop your own manuscript outline and check with the editor to make sure you really understand your assignment or not. Which means that suppose, if I'm having a call for chapter and if you're submitting me your manuscript, so of course I will give you comments on that, right? Whether you have, whether you're able to understand that what is the topic to write on, or you just, sometimes it happens that the call for chapters, happen, the topic is something else and students try to submit something else. It is out of the theme. So always, write, in a very thematic manner. Always write on those topics that is actually relevant for your book chapter and it is actually mentioned. Do not go out of the subject box, right? Try to cite your references, right? Avoid plagiarism. Always, it's said that, before submitting an article or, research paper or a book chapter, make sure that you are not, just copying paste because the paper won't be selected. You have to avoid plagiarism. So before, writing or submitting a paper to some of the journals, go for Turnitin check, go for Orkut. They will give you the report. Okay, you have how many, words plagiarized. So you have to modify accordingly. Also, I would just now come on to the very basic and important thing that is about relevant sources for research. So we have discussed about book chapter. We have discussed about the outline of chapter and research. Now, what are the relevant sources for research? So now JSTOR, Oxford, Taylor Francis, Wheely, Allstore academic journals. So now these are the various platforms, even Manupatra also, where you can read articles, you can read papers, and you can actually tend to develop your own citing of research. You can develop, on what topic you have to write. Suppose you have to write upon, I would say, hospitality, right? So now you can find out relevant articles from these many sources before writing to your own paper. Right. Nobody is very, of course, nobody can write blindly on any topic of 8,000 words. You need to have prior research. So you need to have basic information, right? So these are the basic sources for research that would actually guide you and help you in writing your research paper and a book chapter. Also, I would like to come upon the very important aspect is citation. So when you write a book chapter, people ask me, ma'am, how to go about citation? What is citation? So let me discuss that. Now, what is citation and citation style? So now a citation is a way of giving credit to individual for their creative and intellectual work that is utilized to support your research. So now of course citation is way of giving credit. मतलब आपने अगर किसी का कुछ काम आपने पढ़ा है या आपने पढ़ के उसको लिखा है अपने पेपर में, so you have to give thanks. You have to acknowledge their work. Else it will be, it is not approved. So of course अगर मैं किसी का आर्टिकल पढ़ रही हूँ और मैंने उसके आर्टिकल से कुछ चीज ली है, I have copied a particular thing in my research paper, I've quoted some lines in my book chapter, so I need to acknowledge, I need to give thanks to that particular author. अगर मैंने ये नहीं किया तो ये वॉयलेशन हो जाएगा राइट का, राइट? बिकॉज सी आई कैन नॉट यूज एनीबॉडीज वर्क विदाउट द प्रायर परमिशन, सो आई हैव टू गिव क्रेडिट टू दैट पर्सन जिनका मैंने आर्टिकल पढ़ा है, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई वी नीड टू हैव साइटेशन स्टाइल or references in research paper or a book chapter. So now various kind of citation style that are used in book chapter or research paper. AP हो गया, American Psychological Association, MLA is Modern Language Association, Chicago, Scholar, Harvard, and Bluebook. So now these are the various common citation style that you use to refer when you write a book chapter or research paper. So now how to cite basic footnoting with Bluebook 20th edition. जब आप Bluebook की बात करते हो, you know, sometime you will see that when you have a call for chapters, वहां पे होता है कि भाई आपको citation करना है Bluebook 20th edition में. So now students, people you know who have not written a single research paper, they're in first year or second year of law school, they're not aware about citations, like how to go about it. So now Bluebook पे क्या होता है, जब आप किसी case law को refer करते हो, when you have to write a case law as a reference or a bibliography or a footnote, how will you go in this, you know, in this style? So now for writing a case law, you have to write the, you know, party's name, both the party's name first. Like then you have to write verses. Suppose A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras, comma, the year, and then the quote. This is how you write the, in Bluebook format, the case law, right? Also, when you talk about statutes, right? So in case of like IPC, CRPC, CPC, you need to give abbreviations such as pen, dot code, comma, God, CRIM, COD, PROC, and COD. So now these are the short form. आपको पूरा लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आप स्टैट्यूट्स कोड कर रहे हो अपने बुक चैप्टर में, यू नो, क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर कोड, सिविल प्रोसीजर कोड, तो अगर आप ब्लू बुक में लिख रहे हो तो आपको एब्रिविएशन ही यूज करना है. यू हैव टू यूज द शॉर्ट फॉर्म, राइट, नॉट द कंप्लीट फॉर्म. देन पूरी सेक्शन सिंबल फॉलोड बाय द सेक्शन नंबर. सो ये जो देख रहे हैं ये सेक्शन, आप अगर नीचे एग्जांपल देख रहे हो, कोड CRIM डॉट PROC डॉट, ये जो सिंबल है सेक्शन नंबर है, ये सिंबल होता है सेक्शन नंबर का. यू हैव टू यूज दैट एंड द पेज नंबर, right? It is like 156 subsection 3, so you have to use that ways. Also, you know, when we talk about government publications, जैसे कभी कभी होता है when you cite a paper from MSME or CCI from their own reports, right? Delhi Commission की रिपोर्ट आती है, तो उस रिपोर्ट से अगर आप कुछ साइट कर रहे हो अपने रिसर्च पेपर या बुक चैप्टर में, then you have to go write name of the act, comma, year, referred section, the Gazette of India in a part of section, and publishing date. So see the example, this Company Act 2013, section number, Gazette of India, section 1, and publication date. So this is how you will cite if you are citing a, you know, report from a government authority, right? Now, in case of session laws, you know, how you have to write model name. Again, it's similarly name of the act, referred section, act number, act of, you know, parliament, year and the place, representation of People's Act, year, section number, act of parliament, and the year and the place. So this is how you cite in Bluebook 20th edition. Now, fourthly, in the case of online publication, अगर आपने कोई online publication को quote किया है from the government website, how you will write? You will write the, you know, act of the name of the act, the volume number, the year, and the hyperlink of that place जहां से आपने वो publication उठाया है, you know, the link of the website, you have to write that as well. Now, if you will quote the books, अगर आप cite कर रहे हो books को blue book पे, तो कैसे करोगे? Name of the, you know, author, title of the book, page number, name of the editor, edition and year, right? See the example, Avtar Singh, comma, law of contract and specific relief act, edition and year and the page number, right? So this is how you have to write. Also for citing books, you know, always check the number of authors. You know, if there are 2 authors, then put both of their names, right? But in case of there more than there's 2 authors, then put the name of first author and then use ETAL dot. So अगर आपके पास 2 ऑथर तो आप दोनों का नाम लिखो. अगर 2 से ज्यादा हैं तो आपको पहले ऑथर का नाम लिखना है, बाकी में ETL.AL यूज करना है. इट्स एन एब्रिविएशन. लाइक सी द एग्जांपल, फेडरिक पोलाक एंड दिनशा फिरोजी मूला, कॉमा, द इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट, यशदोष वर्धन एंड चित्रा नायर, राइट, ईयर एंड एडिशन, राइट. सो नाउ यू हैव टू फॉलो दीज काइंड ऑफ गाइडलाइंस. नेवर गो अक्रॉस दैट. अगर आपको ब्लू बुक के बारे में पता है और आपको अगर इसमें ही लिखना है आपका बुक चैप्टर और रिसर्च पेपर, सो प्लीज नेवर डू ऑस्कोला, राइट. आप ब्लू बुक में लिखो. ऐसा मत करना कि भाई ओके पता नहीं चलेगा, यू नो एडिटर को हम लिख के भेज देते हैं. अगर आप ऐसा करोगे तो योर पेपर विल बी रिजेक्टेड. सो यू हैव टू स्ट्रिक्टली, यू नो, कॉन्सोनेंस विद द गाइडलाइंस. आर्टिकल साइट करोगे आप ब्लू बुक में, सो नेम ऑफ द ऑथर, टाइटल इटैलिक्स में हो जाएगा, वॉल्यूम नंबर, पब्लिशर, पेज नंबर एंड ईयर. अगेन MP Singh, the act, topic, year, you know, and the page number. This is how you will write when you cite or reference in the article in the book chapter. अगर आपने कोई इंटरनेट सोर्सेस से कुछ आर्टिकल लिया या ब्लॉग लिया है, राइट, देन यू हैव टू राइट द नेम ऑफ द टॉपिक, issues, year, right, publication date, and the hyperlink. राइट सो नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ ईडम और एबिड सो नाउ एबिड का मतलब क्या होता है अगर आपने कोई चीज अगर आपने एक जगह यूज की है अगर आपको वही सेम चीज दूसरे पैराग्राफ में भी रेफर करना है यू डोंट हैव टू रेफर द सेम लाइन अगेन in fact you can use the term ebid meaning in the same place is used to refer an authority in the footnote immediately preceding the current footnote and the same page right so ebid का इस्तेमाल करते हैं आप when you write or cite now we have second common citation style is APA style अब APA भी एक तरह का स्टाइल फॉर्मेट है when you submit book chapter or an article so even you get a guideline from the journal is that you have to cite a paper in APA standard format so now अब इसमें क्या होता है ऑथर्स का सरनेम पहले आएगा ऑथर्स का सरनेम फिर पहला नाम फिर डेट पब्लिश कब आपका आर्टिकल पब्लिश हुआ है टाइटल लोकेशन ऑफ पब्लिशर एंड रिट्रीव्ड यूआरएल मतलब हाइपरलिंक जो वेबसाइट की लिंक है जहां पे वो डीओआई नंबर राइट सो ये आपका बेसिक फंडा है एपी में जब आप साइट करते हो पहले आपका सरनेम आएगा इनिशियल आएंगे कब पब्लिश हुआ है टाइटल आएगा पब्लिशर का नाम आएगा और यूआरएल आएगा राइट सो नाउ हाउ टू साइट अ जर्नल आर्टिकल इन प्रिंट और ऑनलाइन इन एपीए फॉर्मेट अगर आप किसी जर्नल को साइट कर रहे हो आर्टिकल को एपीए फॉर्मेट में बुक चैप्टर में तो कैसे लिखोगे आप अगेन द सेम ऑथर सरनेम इनिशियल उसका पहला नाम लाइक माय नेम इज तृप्ति भूषण सो इट विल बी लाइक भूषण तृप्ति ईयर टाइटल ऑफ द article journal volume number issue sometime you must have seen it's written volume number issue number 4 volume number 2 page number or DOI so now DOI is something like suppose if you have a DOI number a digital outline identified number इसको डालने से क्या होता है कि भाई आप तुरंत जैसे डालोगे आपको पूरा पेपर का नाम नहीं डालना पड़ेगा इफ यू हैव टू सर्च अ पर्टिकुलर टाइटल और अ पेपर इन गूगल आल्सो इफ यू हैव यूज्ड द DOI if you have the DOI so with the help of DOI you will automatically get access to your paper right so of course DOI is very preferred whenever you submit a paper in online format you get a DOI number from the journal itself journal article का example क्या है APA format में like see Michelle .ja year why it's so important Mendeley journal page number so now of course so you have to see this is how you cite an article in APA format now again if you're citing a newspaper article right in your book chapter or in any of the articles so how will you go that authors का सरनेम आएगा पहले initial आएगा year month day also आएगा when you write a newspaper when you cite a newspaper article you have to write the year the month जिस दिन वो जिस मंथ में वो पब्लिश हुआ है एंड द डे टाइटल ऑफ न्यूज़पेपर कॉलम सेक्शन पेज नंबर एंड द यूआरएल राइट सो दिस इज हाउ यू इट्स अ बेसिक फॉर्मेट ऑफ साइटिंग अ न्यूज़पेपर इन एपीए फॉर्मेट अगेन नाउ मैगजीन साइटेशन अगर आप मैगजीन को साइट कर रहे हो एपीए में कैसे करोगे ऑथर्स का सरनेम आएगा इनिशियल आएगा ईयर आएगा मंथ आएगा डे आएगा टाइटल आएगा एंड द मैगजीन एंड द पेज नंबर राइट दिस इज हाउ यू विल गो अहेड नाउ हाउ टू साइट अ वेबसाइट इन एपीए फॉर्मेट तो अगर आप किसी वेबसाइट से कुछ मैटर ले रहे हो अपने बुक चैप्टर के लिए आर्टिकल के लिए हाउ यू हैव टू गो राइट अगेन यू राइट द नेम ऑफ द आर्टिकल द हाइपरलिंक द ईयर राइट इन द month this is how you go for citing a website in APA format now we have third important is oscola is a standard form of abbreviation so now how you have to write in oscola so to save space in oscola citations abbreviations are used for names of various publications and legal bodies आपको oscola format में you basically use short forms जैसे यूनाइटेड किंगडम सुप्रीम कोर्ट सो नाउ यू हैव टू राइट यूकेएससी सो इस ऑस्कोला में मेजरली आपका क्या होता है शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स यूज होते हैं एब्रिविएशन यूज होते हैं लाइक सीआर फॉर इज लाइक फॉर रिपोर्ट क्रिमिनल अपील रिपोर्ट लाइक सीआर एंड आर इज फॉर रिपोर्ट सो यहाँ पे जितना आप शॉर्ट फॉर्म यूज करोगे दिस इज हाउ इट वर्क्स इन ऑस्कोला केस रिपोर्ट अगर आप साइट करो तो कैसे लिखोगे पार्टी का नाम पहले आएगा ईयर आएगा यू हैव केस नंबर देन यू हैव कॉमा देन यू हैव year of volume number name of report page number and paragraph number this is how you cite a case report Williamson was an McDonald 2012 UKSC year then you have volume number and then page number and the year this is how you will go for citing a case report in a research paper on a book chapter acts of parliament कैसे करोगे इसमें टाइटल ऑफ द ईयर आएगा सेक्शन नंबर आएगा सब सेक्शन आएगा और पैराग्राफ आएगा राइट अगर आप कुछ आप साइट कर रहे हो अपने बुक चैप्टर में या रिसर्च पेपर में Now books. So अगर आप ऑस्कोला में बुक साइट कर रहे हो so you have to have author's name, title of the book, edition and publisher number, publisher year. So let's like Jonathan Herring, it's the name of the author, criminal law, name of the book, title, cases, and 8th edition is your edition and publisher is OUP and the page number. Right. This is how you go in ऑस्कोला format. Journal articles, ऑस्कोला में आप journal articles को कैसे साइट करोगे? Again, author's name, title, year, volume number and page number. Gunthor, Tuber is the name of the author. Legal irritants, good faith in British law, or how unifying law ends up in the new divergence is the name of the title. The year is 1998 and the volume number is MLR 11, right? So this is how you code the journal articles in Ascola format. I've discussed this. Now back to the basics of we have discussed this. Yeah, I think we have discussed this. So yeah. So again, I would just like to make sure very. I would just try to pay very important glimpses on when you write a book chapter. Always have in mind that never just compare it with a research paper or an article. Though it works on the same line, but there is little bit difference. You have a difference of word limit, right? You cannot just write. You cannot just have a RM in your book chapter. आप अपने बुक चैप्टर में रिसर्च मेथोलॉजी नहीं लिखोगे, वो हेडिंग नहीं आएगा आपका बुक चैप्टर में, राइट? योर बुक चैप्टर starts with introduction, then main content, the body of the main content, then at the end discussion. Discussion means it don't have to be mentioned like the heading wise. वो आपको पैरा में डिफाइन करना है. Conclusion, bibliography, or you can give end notes as well. Sometime in book chapter people ask for in-text citation. In-text मतलब क्या होता है? आप बुक चैप्टर के साथ में पैराग्राफ के बाद में आप रेफरेंस डालते हो, right? Sometimes it is asked like hypertext. You have to put hyperlinks, in your book chapter or a research paper. So I hope I have been very clear with and always think about types of writing. Descriptive है आपका, book writing का chapter या article writing का या narrative है या argumentative है. So you have to think that way also. And then you have to make your writing clarity. So this is how I think I have just tried to cover it all. If anybody would like to have any questions or queries, I would love to answer that. Shashwat, if I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think I've just cleared whatever I had to. So if anybody would have any issues,
Yes, ma'am. We have been getting some of the questions, and if any of you, if you have any question, you can type your question in the comment.
Yeah, in the chat box. Yeah,
I will be trying to address it. So some of the questions we already have. So, ma'am, the first question is from.
Yeah.
Ma'am, it's by Digvijay Ganpati and Diksha Singh and Ankur Agnihotri. The question is, what should be the structure or format of paper?
I have discussed it right now itself. मैंने discuss किया था अभी. So you have to have introduction. You need to have an abstract. You need to have a keyword, right? You need to have a main body. So now this is the basic fundamental of a research paper. So whenever you're writing a research paper, you have to have a clarity of mind around what topic you're writing. You have to select the theme. It should be, if your theme is on legal contemporary issues, so you cannot write on business laws. You cannot just write on, taxation. It has to be in consonance with the topic that has been asking. You need to have an abstract. That is very important. Without abstract, your research paper is very incomplete. बिना abstract के आप paper submit नहीं कर सकते. No journal will take your paper without an abstract, because it gives you a highlight of the paper that actually you are talking about what in the complete passage of the paper. Right, because sometimes it happens, when you submit a call for chapter or you submit a research paper, they actually ask about the abstract submission first. So why they actually ask abstract? Because it actually gives the clear idea to the editor that, okay, fine, this XYZ person will discuss these many key points in the upcoming paper. So you need to have an abstract. That is very important, right? So I hope I had made it clear. If you have any other questions.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, next question is from Tejashwini Kaushal. The question is how to quote an individual when the similarity index is going above the prescribed limit.
As in, is it a work plagiarized work, or he's asking how many words, like how many percentile should be there for the plagiarized work in the research paper?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see, the point is that I won't suggest anybody paraphrasing it. Like I've seen a lot of students these, they just have a matter from a blog or a research paper and try to paraphrase it just to reduce the plagiarism index, but it won't work. So I would suggest generally it happens you should not write more than 10%. 10% से ज़्यादा plagiarism allowed नहीं होता है कहीं भी, या max to max 15%. Still, if you're having 20% or 25%, try to write those, if अगर आपने कहीं से copy भी किया है, आपने references भी दिया है, but that doesn't matter, journal will take it, वो reject कर देगा. So in that case, you have to actually read that particular para and try to frame in your own words. आप उसी sentence को अपने line में अपनी भाषा में लिखो. Suppose if I'm telling my name is Tripti Bhushan, right? या मुझसे कोई पूछ रहा है what is your name? So now there is different ways of giving my introduction, right? जैसे अभी शाश्वत ने introduce किया मुझे कि मेरे बारे में designation के बारे में मैंने यहाँ ये पढ़ाई की. So now he can also start with some other thing as well मेरे बारे में. He has to introduce me. So अगर आपका जो paragraph जो plagiarized है, अगर आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि मैंने मैम वहाँ पे references दे दिया तो फिर still मेरा accept नहीं हुआ. वो नहीं होगा बिकॉज सिमिलैरिटी इंडेक्स ज्यादा है. सो आपको वो जो आपका वर्ड है, जो भी पैराग्राफ आपका प्लेगराइज्ड है, जो भी मैटर, जितना भी कंटेंट है, उसको आप अपने वर्ड्स में इसको लिखने की कोशिश करो. ट्राई टू रीड दोज मेनी टाइम्स, ट्राई टू रीड दैट पैराग्राफ की क्या कहाँ पे दिक्कत आ रही है, क्या प्लेगराइज है, क्या सेंटेंस है. नेवर कट कॉपी, ऑलवेज टाइप करो. कभी भी कट कॉपी करके वहां पे रेफरेंस मत दो. वहां पे टर्निटन में आपको प्लेगरिज्म दिखाएगा. अगर आपने कहीं भी किसी ब्लॉग से आर्टिकल लिया है और सिर्फ पेस्ट कर दिया है और आप सोचो कि मैम हमने रेफरेंसेस तो दे दिया है, फुटनोटिंग तो कर दिया, इट शुड नॉट बी प्लेगराइज्ड, बट वो आएगा. So try to type your own, paragraphs and try to just write and modify in your own words. This is how you can escape plagiarized work. So this is all.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question is by Vaibhav Sharma. He's asking that which website should he refer while this research work?
Okay, so now it again depends. It depends. Like I won't say that you have to go for a lot of foreign papers or foreign articles or journals, because it depends on the ability also. So now, suppose if you have a very if you have a normal topic, if you have to write about pandemic or judiciary, judicial aspirant, so I would suggest कि पहले आप जितनी authentic sites है, जैसे जहाँ पे edu है और .org है, so these are the authentic sources that you can refer for writing a paper or a book chapter. तो पहले आप इनको target करो. I won't suggest कि कभी विकिपीडिया मत जाना. मतलब there are a lot of students and people who try to who come up to me, मैम मैंने ये पढ़ा था विकिपीडिया में लिखा था. Never cite that Wikipedia, right. So always you can go to these sources जहाँ पे edu और .org है, plus JSTOR है. JSTOR is very nice. Go to JSTOR, वहाँ पे सब्सक्रिप्शन ले लो. लाइव लॉ का सब्सक्रिप्शन ले लो. लाइव लॉ में बहुत सारे जजमेंट्स आते हैं, डेली के डेली आते हैं. वहां पे कॉलम्स भी आते हैं. सो ट्राई टू हैव अ सब्सक्रिप्शन ऑफ लाइव लॉ, मनु पात्रा फॉर केस लॉज, JSTOR. सो दैट इज मस्ट एंड दैट इज बेसिक फॉर अ लॉ स्टूडेंट. So इससे आपकी रिसर्च थोड़ी इजी हो जाएगी. I just have seen one question in chat box, how to get access to Turnitin, I guess. Yes, so it depends. Turnitin comes very costly. First of all, let me tell you, Turnitin हर कोई नहीं ले सकता है. It is an institutional access. अगर आपका लॉ स्कूल आपको एक्सेस दे रहा है Turnitin का, JSTOR का, that's well and good. अगर आपको खुद के लिए चाहिए, so you have to have a subscription yearly. So it's very costly. So it's like more than 50K bucks. So 50,000 bucks. So it's very costly. So I would suggest कि आप जिस लॉ स्कूल में हो वहां पे होगा, उनसे आप बात करो, उनसे एक्सेस लो. यू हैव एन आईडी पासवर्ड एंड ऑलवेज इवन देयर इज लॉट ऑफ साइट्स दैट हैव फ्री अकाउंट्स for writing for reading an article. So try to figure out that, make an account there and try to read papers. So JSTOR is must. JSTOR has plenty of good articles, even Taylor Francis also. So you can read their own articles and papers to write a research paper on. Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question is from Kajal Chand in the chat box only. She's asking to throw some light on what is doctrinal and non-doctrinal research.
See, of course, doctrinal comes upon the fieldwork research, right? Sometimes it happens that कि अगर आपको किसी ने बोल दिया कि भाई ठीक है, मुझे अभी कोविड चल रहा है, अभी मुझे देखना है कि कितने बच्चे स्कूल जा रहे हैं, कितने नहीं जा रहे हैं, राइट? आप पता करो. या like I stay in Lucknow, I stay in Gomti Nagar. So now if I have to have an idea about कि what percentage of people in my locality is still going to school, so मैं क्या करूंगी, मैं इंटरव्यू लूंगी उनका. So that will be an interview form. So for that I need a फील्ड वर्क, राइट? और जहां पे फील्ड वर्क नहीं होता, जहां पे आप प्राइमरी रिसोर्स ढूंढते हो, जैसे मान लो बुक्स हो गया आपका, स्टैट्यूट्स हो गए, राइट, और वेबसाइट्स हो गए हैं, दैट फॉल इनटू द कैटेगरी ऑफ डॉक्ट्रिनल, राइट? सो दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन डॉक्ट्रिनल एंड नॉन डॉक्ट्रिनल. वी कॉल इट प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी रिसोर्सेज एज वेल. And also, I would just throw light on one basic point. I just remember that now people ask that, okay, how to write a book chapter. We have discussed all. People want that. Ma'am, we should have some opportunity also for writing a book chapter. So I would like to tell that we are having a very important. We are just organizing a call for chapter for a book that is published with ISBN number. That is a handbook on legal contemporary issues in India. So I hope this is a very important opportunity for every one of you who are present today for this lecture, and also make sure that you participate for this book chapter, because actually it will give you a sense of research ability and writing ability, right? How to go about it. So please whatever details you need, I think Shashwat will provide you, and please do participate in the writing of book chapter.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question is again from Tejashwini. She's asking, ma'am, in legal writing, especially for cases and legislation sections, plagiarism always crops up even after expressing the idea ourselves. How to deal with that?
Yeah, I think hello. Yeah, please say. Yes, I could not hear the question.
Ma'am, the question is, in legal writing, especially for cases and legislation sections, plagiarism always crops up even after expressing the idea ourselves. How to deal up with that?
See, of course, इट इज अ वेरी बेसिक फंडा, बिकॉज अगर आपने आईपीसी कोड किया है या आपने सेक्शन 300 कोड किया है, इट विल शो, राइट. सो वो आपको क्या होता है कि ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन नॉट मॉडिफाई दैट, आप एक्ट का नाम चेंज नहीं कर पाओगे, यू हैव टू राइट. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट कि आप जहां से वो सेक्शन लिख रहे हो, समटाइम इट हैपेंस कि अगर किसी ने पूरा पैराग्राफ लिखा है या पूरा आर्टिकल कोड किया है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, तो कभी कभी क्या होता है लोग लिख देते हैं आर्टिकल 14 बस. दे डोंट राइट, फुटनोट में पूरा नहीं लिखते कि क्या आपने कॉपी किया है. तो जब भी आप फुटनोट डालो, जब भी आप रेफरेंसेस डालो, और अगर आपने कोई सेक्शन कॉपी किया है एज इट इज, तो जो आपने पैराग्राफ लिखा है, जो आपने रेफर किया है, आप वही डालो फुटनोट में भी कि आपने ये लाइन, ये 4 लाइन डाली है. You cannot just write an article number or section number, section 230 or 240 of IPC. You have to write, you have to highlight that para also कि आप क्या ले रहे हो. तो जब आप ये करोगे तो आपका प्रिज्म शो नहीं करेगा. जनरली क्या होता है कि लोग क्या करते हैं, आर्टिकल लिख लेते हैं, बस नंबर डाल देते हैं, आर्टिकल 14, बस खत्म. तो वो शो करेगा क्योंकि आपने वो फुटनोट में डाला नहीं. रेफरेंस में यू हैव टू हैव दी हाइलाइटेशन ऑफ कि आपने क्या पार्ट लिया है, कहां से आपने स्टैट्यूट से कौन सी लाइन ली है या क्या सेक्शन है. सो यू हैव टू हैव दैट आल्सो इन फुटनोटेड. सो दिस इज हाउ यू कैन स्केप नाउ. So I would just request everybody जो भी आज यहाँ पे सेशन में है, I hope I have tried my best to explain the very basics of legal research. Try to participate in the call for chapters and make sure that this will actually help you in highlighting your own research areas. You would try, because we have a lot of themes. We have 100 thematic topics, right? So I think it has been on the share screen. Please have a look, and whatever details you have, the Advocate Leagues will provide you. This is the brochure. We have 100 unique topics. So it's not like that, okay ma'am, I'm a first year law student, I cannot write on topic of IPR or criminal law. You have plenty of topics to think upon. It's unique topics. Just go ahead and just write and give it a chance, and it will help you, because book chapter has a lot of weightage values also. So yeah, do participate in the call for chapter. So yes, Shashwat, if you want to say something about this call for chapter, you may highlight the key points of the chapter.
Ma'am, all the details of call for chapters have already been circulated through mails and WhatsApp groups. So I hope everyone
okay, I just have a question in the chat box, Pankaj. How do you participate in the call for chapter? Okay, so details has been shared by the mails, and by, I think in the chat box you can provide the link, Shashwat, or the a PDF of this brochure. So you can just access the same, and you can have the guidelines how to go about it. So please do have a read and just try to participate.
Yes, sure.
That will actually work you out in your own, being a law student also. Actually, it will give you a legal insight. So always when you write something, when you try to attempt something, it will actually help you. So this is how. So yes, I would like to, just thank Shashwat for having me here. And it is great to discuss with you all. I hope, everybody is clear. If you have any other queries, please reach me out to Advocate Leaks or by my email that I will provide in the, chat box right now. So you can just drop me an email anytime regarding this call for chapter or any issues you have. So I'm just.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving for giving your time to the Advocates League, and thank you for such a delightful lecture.
So thank you, Shashwat. Thank you. So
now I would like to call Mr. Gopal Krishna for vote of thanks.
So good evening, everyone. I am Gopal Krishna, Deputy CEO at the Advocates League. I would like to give a sincere vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee to respected ma'am, Mrs. Tripti Bhushan, for taking today's session. I would like to thank My Lawman and other media agencies for the publication of the same. My last thanks are due to my colleagues of the organizing committee. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.